Hello, guys. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Football Exponential Show. And on this glorious episode today, I'm joined by our friend Kingsley, who's been keeping up appearances this last few podcast episodes. We can't seem to get enough of you right now. And again, I can't help but point out that I'm not. I don't like how happy you are, but we'll talk about the reasons for that happiness when we get into the podcast. But again, welcome back to the show. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining us again. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the likes, the follows, the comments, and all that. And kindly, if you're not following the page, kindly do that right now in the click the button below. But again, how you doing?
I'm
How's
doing
your weekend?
I'm doing very good. I couldn't ask for a better weekend. It's been great. The hate watch was amazing. The team support was lovely. Still going very good. And of course, I kind of understand why you might not be happy about my very bright smile. But you know what they say, if you cannot beat them, you join them. We still have some application forms. I would do you a favor and speak to a few people that I know in the Camp Nou space. I will see if we can sneak you in. Just let me know when you make up your mind. But other than that, I'm doing very well.
Well, I'll tell you for free. That's not going to happen. So yeah.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it straight in. Where are we starting today?
Oh, perfect. So we're going to go do the quick La Liga around the block. We'll look at some of the interesting topics we'd like to cover there. If La Liga is indeed still a three-horse race, or that ship has sailed for Atletico Madrid, we'll try and also uncover we would think our favorites would be in the La Liga title challenge this season. We'll be looking at some of the things such as maybe the freighting, the Madrid defense that has been showing up in the last couple of match day weeks. We'll also try to cover whether or not the Copa del Rey semi-final that's going to be played midweek is affecting or has affected Atletico Madrid in the title challenge for La Liga this year. And we'll also try to get your predictions, and we'll also be interested to know the prediction of our followers, to know who you think will make it to the Copa del Rey final, and how you expect that tournament to go. There are also some juicy things to unpack in the women UEFA Champions League semi-final prediction, and maybe we'll just do a quick discussion around some of the teams there. We'll be looking at the FA Cup. We'll be looking at Trent's move to Madrid, and then again there are questions around whether or not Hansi Flick is rotating this Barca's team as he should, and if Atletico and if the vacancy in the Brazil national team should help Ancelotti bring down his eyebrow a little bit. So there are quite a number of things that we'll cover in this
Okay,
edition.
okay.
So stick with us, and let's go right into it. Starting with the La Liga title run. For some of us who don't already know this, Real Madrid defeated Leganes at home 3-2. Then Atletico Madrid had a 1-1 draw in Espanyol just a few hours before that game was played. And then Barcelona went away and Blue Girona away in the Montjuic Stadium. 4 goals to 1 with Lewandowski scoring a brace there. How do you feel about this Barcelona team? I know you don't like the smiles, but how do you feel about the Barcelona team and their potentials, or their possibility to win the La Liga title?
Yeah, yeah. Unlike some people these days, they can't seem to separate the excitement and the love of the game and their hatred for certain clubs. But when it comes to Barcelona, I find it hard to do those things. But at the end of the day, like I always say, what will happen will happen. If Barcelona are good, they are good. If they're not good, I'll be there to watch it. But again, I feel this Barcelona team, that's a very good team, and not in terms of all the aspects of what they're doing good so far this season. The players that Flick has managed to get the best of form from them. It's also improved players like Rafinha at the same time, and also guys like today we saw Eric Garcia starting the midfield, who somehow for some he looks more comfortable in the central midfield than a centre back, his natural position. That again, I attribute that to the coaching and the organization of the team from the coach's point of view. But also, I just feel this is just a team that is on the up. They are currently on a 20 game unbeaten run or competitions in this
That's
this
correct.
calendar year.
Since the start of
So
2025.
they're a team with a lot of momentum, and they have a lot of good attacking players, and we see that with the goals, and not just the amount of goals they score, but the sheer variety in the finishes to those goals. They score goals from set pieces. brilliant moments of brilliance from like that's Yamin Yamal or Rafinha or even Lewandowski, who today I didn't think he had the best of games overall. But when it comes to finishing in the box, I don't think there's anybody better than Lewandowski at in the box movement and finishing chances. So but right now Barcelona they're in a good position. They're in a good moment. They have a lot of things going right for them, and I think I think the last couple of months, I'm having this feeling. I've been having the feeling of that they will just find a way to just take the ultimate prize at the end of the season, and that's the Spanish title. I don't know about the Champions League because there's a lot of that's still very is yet to be seen
Yeah,
how
see
that
some buts
develops.
and ifs there.
Yeah, but I think going here to the end of the season, I feel Barca. I don't see Barca dropping enough points where Madrid can take advantage of because they've also managed to also put an end to one of their title challengers' aspirations. They did that before the international break against Atletico Madrid. But again, I feel again this is just a super team. They play amazing football, and it's as much as I hate the club, I enjoy watching them play.
Oh, no, it's very interesting to hear your love-hate relationship with Barcelona. You love the
It's
football, but you hate the club. I kind of
it's
understand
not
it. It's just like,
it's not love hate relationship. There's no relationship. I watch it because I enjoy it. Not the club.
okay,
I just
yeah.
enjoy football.
You just enjoy football. You probably watch any other Barcelona team, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah, but to think about it, right? So it's but I feel like in as much as Barca seem to be favorite right now, I don't think it's comfortable yet because
of course not.
They still have the El Clasico to navigate, and as much as it looks like there was a daylight in terms of how the team, you know, go on and win games in terms of the victory, in terms of how convincing they play and the confidence at which they play. But Madrid is still there. Madrid is still right around the corner. It's just 3 points that separates both teams impressively. And for all the balls that Barca is, riding off right now, especially in the recent weeks, Madrid is just, they're just there making sure that
Yeah, that's
they,
true.
they, they, they continue to apply pressure. Kylian Mbappe is, I think, 3 goals behind Lewandowski in the Pichichi race. He's doing his
Yeah.
numbers, he's doing his thing. He's keeping the team competitive. By the way, I think he had a great game against Leganes, and and I feel like that impact is what we've come to see with Real Madrid over time, and having them locking around the title still doesn't make any team comfortable. So I still feel like it's still gonna. I still think there might be some twists and turns. But I still expect Barcelona to go on and win it. And with that being said, do you feel like the draw against Espanyol for Atletico Madrid just kind of quiet the noise around it being a three-horse title race challenge, or do you feel like it has never been that way, anyways?
Um, f- well, for me personally, I feel it's both things are true. I never saw that. I know they had an amazing run of winning games earlier in the season, but I never saw them as title. I never took their title aspiration seriously because just by the sheer nature of how the team plays football, this is a team that barely scores goals. And to put that in context, they've scored fewer goals than Villarreal, who are in fifth position right now in La Liga. So
Yeah, but it's safe to say they barely concede goals. I think they have the best
yeah. I
goal
know,
to
I
game
know.
ratio. I think they've considered just 23 La Liga goals this season, if my memory
They
serves me.
have, yeah. Okay, I'm looking at they've conceded 23, but they scored 47 goals this season. Compared that to Barcelona, who are obviously on top. Barcelona scored 82. So this is
82,
what you're going up.
and they've considered significantly more anyways.
No,
Not
well,
significantly more
not
actually.
significant.
They've
I
considered
think,
29 goals, right? 29
28,
goals,
28 goals.
28 goals. Oh, so if you think about it, 5 goals
So,
more
so
is
exactly.
it's not
So
that
it's
bad.
not. So this is not vintage Atletico
Hmm.
Madrid defensively that they keep shutouts. Like in the last two away games, they've had what seemed to be not comfortable, but they had leads in those games against Getafe and against Espanyol this weekend. But they didn't see the games out because they couldn't get the second goal to kill it. And that's where and I feel that's just more than those individual games. I feel it's a symptom of how they play football. where they don't play to win games most times. They play not. I'm not going to say I won't say they play not to lose, but I feel they don't attack the games with the momentum like a Barcelona does or like Real Madrid do. They play with the with the handbrake on most times than not.
Yeah, no,
And
I
I,
see
and
what
I,
you
and,
mean.
and I always feel in terms of a long season, you have to get the two. You have to get at the same time. You have to meet Barcelona in their worst moment, and at the same time meet Real Madrid in their worst moment, and that really happens in the same year. It's happened recently, I think about 4 years ago when they won their last league title,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but
And once
but doesn't
Suarez
happen.
took on for them.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen frequently enough. And again, if you don't score goals, you don't. I don't think you can last the course of a 38 game season. They're a very good team. They're a very tough team to play about. We'll talk about them in the upcoming game against Barcelona and the what prospects that has coming up. But overall, I never saw them in the title race, and I know a lot of people did because it's quite romantic to see them as outsiders challenging the established structure of the other two Spanish teams. But I feel now Real Madrid are on the other side of this discussion where they are the established teams now in Spanish, one of the established teams in Spanish football. They are one of the bigger teams in Spanish football. Well, they're not, of course, they're not as the same size as Real Madrid or Barcelona, but they are in that same pool compared to the other side of the league. And for just most times, whenever I don't know about other people, and I don't know about you, but whenever I watch an Atletico Madrid game in the league, it's most times it's a tough watch.
Well,
And
mm.
in the league, it's most times it's more fun than not that it's a tough watch, and it's just how they play football. And I don't these days I don't see it being a successful. It's a good way to approach games in cup games where you can control the games, keep your position at arm's length, score one, defend well, and you can get a win or get and progress through the competitions. But in the league, where you have to go out there, you're competing against a team that's got 82 goals already. Barcelona are on course to score about, I think in this moment they already have 110 goals in both league and
No, they
no, I
have
think
way more than
no,
110 goals. They're
no.
probably going.
No, I'm talking about the two tables in the Champions League phase and in the domestic league phase. They've had
Oh,
110 goals plus more goals they scored in the knockout stage as well, and
yeah.
that's the attack they're going up against. So it's a very tough one for them. But I don't know about you. How did you see that title challenge? Or did you, coming from a Barcelona fan, did you anticipate them to be involved, or did you fear their presence in the recent
To
running?
to be honest, prior to the Real Madrid Champions League game, right? I did feel like Atletico Madrid were very much in the title challenge. Again, especially because they put in a very good run. I think they went 18 games unbeaten or something like that. And mind you,
Yeah,
even yeah,
a club record, a
and
club record.
yes, and people are quick to forget that. I think that game they lost 2-4 to Barcelona was the first league defeat at home this season. So they've been a team that has pretty much in Atletico Madrid's DNA, they've known how to preserve leads or at least avoid defeats. And while I agree with you that it might be challenging to win a league like that, but they weren't far off. They were either 2 or 3 points within the challenge. There was a little bit of ups and downs, and I sincerely believe that they were up for it. But I think the wind got off the sail when after the Champions League knockout, and then Barcelona went ahead and just kind of apply a bit more pressure on that league game, and then things just continue to unfold negatively for them. But if you ask me right now, I feel like they're out of the title challenge. I actually feel like they're more in a challenge to make the top four right now. I know that Atletico Bilbao did not take their chances against Osasuna. Otherwise, they would have been 2 points ahead of. They would have just been two
Yeah,
points ahead of Bilbao, and it would be more
yeah.
of a title for, maybe more of a challenge to finish fourth and maintain the Champions League
Well,
Champions League position.
well, at this moment, in terms of the any worries about a top four finish, I'll say they're quite comfortable. They're quite comfortable in that aspect. It's just whether they finish third or fourth. because Villarreal are a
No,
few
Villarreal
points behind.
have got a game in hand.
Yeah,
They're not that far away. It's just about can they be consistent at it as well? Because one thing about not winning games is that it has this periodic effect, right? You just kind
that's
of
true.
it's just like a
That's
habit,
true.
and it's
That's
just
true.
like a habit. And two more if they drop points in two or three more games out of the I think nine
Especially
games left, and they'll be in a lot of trouble. They'll be in a
especially
whole lot of troubles.
especially with the games
And
they
yes,
especially with the
especially with
games
the
they
kind of
have.
games left, right? So
Yeah.
can be
Well,
quite tricky. And but I think Bilbao too still has a good run going on for them in Europe, so that might be some also some distraction
yeah.
on that part as well. So but I think anyhow they'll make it into the top four. By the way, your boy Espilicueta, he absolutely smashed that goal yesterday. That was a delight to
Oh
watch.
yeah, yeah. That's
That was
he
a
always comes up he always comes up with one of those. Well, not a, he's always good for a goal, but not as the one he finished on the weekend. That was a very nice volley. Well,
yeah, no,
also, but at the same time, that also speaks to the issues a club like Madrid have, Atletico Madrid have found in the last few months, where because they have a lot of internationals these days, they have to rotate
hmm
champions, a lot of competitions, and when guys like A30, I know he's still, I know he was a very good player during
hmm
his Chelsea prime, but this is a 35-year-old right back, centre back playing left back on the day. It's hampers your team's aspirations overall. But I'm not to say it's the reason why they didn't win, but I just feel it's just little things like that that make you question Atletico Madrid's overall legitimacy in the title race. But again, I think Diego Simeone has done fantastic work this season in terms of keeping them very competitive in multiple competitions. They have the cup game coming up against Barcelona. Like that can still change the narrative this season if it goes their way. But at the same time, if it doesn't go that way, it becomes a very
It
um,
becomes pretty much a
oh,
season to forget.
yeah, exactly. Because you look at it in between. I know there's a home win against Real Madrid in the Champions League, but you ultimately did get knocked out. So it's a very I won't go as far as say a failure, or I'll just say it's a bit flat at the end of the day because because I believe there's a lot of potential in that in that team more than we see in how they play games just because of who coaches that team. There's a lot of potential I see there. But again, I think it is what it is. But Real Madrid, they had are you done up? Do you have any more points about
No,
Barcelona
so
before we go
I do
to?
have I do have a couple more to add with respect to
Okay, yeah,
Atletico Madrid. When you think about it, do you feel like Simeone rotated excessively? And do you think the reason for that rotation against Espanyol is more or less the Atletico Madrid semi-final playing at the back of their mind? And in contrast to that, then the next question that will segue into this one would be that is Hansi Flick rotating his squad enough?
yeah,
Or are we going to
no,
get into that part where we start, especially as Barcelona fans, a Barcelona fan and general football fan base start to have questions around now you're milking the cow, and when the consequences from milking the cow comes, are you gonna be like, hey, it's not anybody's fault? Like if you just look at the team sheet lineup for Atletico Madrid, however, it did cost them a couple of points in the league this weekend, but the likes of Molina was dropped, DePaul didn't start the game,
yeah,
etc.
but
etc.
it's I know, but and that's what like I touched on when you have guys that go away for international duty, and not just that they go away to play with South American countries, Argentinas
Yeah, they have
and
five
all that.
Argentinian players. Yeah,
Stuff exactly.
yeah,
So
that's
that in itself presents challenges in terms of balancing the starting level you put out after the international break. But also at the same time, I just that could just be it. It's as simple as because we also saw Real Madrid. We'll talk about them soon. They ro- they rotated a lot. A few of the big hitters, the Brazilian guys, Vini and Rodrigo and Valverde were on the bench. They came off the bench quite late in the game. And I feel that's just what all of clubs have to do these days. You have to be a lot smarter with how you utilize your squad. And at the same time, I also say or coaches like Simeone, Hansi Flick, and I put Conte up there as well. These are these are coaches that always prioritize the overall conditioning of the players
Hmm.
over over a season, not just week to week. So that you always see players on those teams or coached by those guys that are very fit. So I just feel it's a balancing act when you're trying to rotate squads, and especially when you play away like they did this weekend. It's a bit tricky. And we saw Madrid also, they had a very tough game because you could see the difference in terms of the players that were not playing and the players that did play. But again, I feel it's just what you have to do. And regards to Barcelona, it's I'm not going to say he's not. I think Flick has rotated quite a lot this season in terms of balancing. I don't think Rafinha did not. Did Rafinha play today?
No,
He didn't start today. He
he
didn't
didn't
start
get
today,
any
but
minutes today.
yeah, but that's it. You see, and even guys like Arroyo that was away with Uruguay in on international duty did not play the midweek game on Thursday, but he starts
Yeah.
today. So that's just I think it's part and parcel of the game these days where you see a lot of teams go with big squads and especially clubs like Barca they pack it up with some younger players from the academy as well, like guys like Femi Lopez, Paul Torre, and Paul Victor, those guys, they play a useful role in the squad when it comes to rotation. But it's just, I think it is what it is. It's just how sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes you might get lucky, and sometimes it doesn't quite come off because, like Madrid found out this weekend, it could have gone quite badly on another day if things didn't go that way. But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, again, just to touch on that, I mean, I do understand why some Barca supporters will be concerned with the number of minutes for the likes of Kunde. Again, Kunde played the full 90 minutes again this week, both games, I believe.
He's
Um,
played. Kunde, just touch on Kunde. Kunde has played. He's played. He started. I don't. Well, he's played every La Liga game so far this season,
that's a lot of
and
football.
that's a lot for. And that also speaks to his how he maintains himself off the pitch. What he does. So he's clearly doing the right things as well as how the team train and how they are conditioned off the pitch. But at the same time, I also feel there's still. We talked about this the other day where I feel uh, clubs, players, managers, they have a responsibility in this situation. Because Kunde, after the game you played on Thursday, he put out was it on Instagram or X.
Yeah. Hmm.
He put out this statement basically calling out the overall structure of footballing calendars and how it does not favor players across European football. He didn't just specify Barca, talk about Real Madrid and whatnot. But also at the
Hmm.
same time, um, he does have a point. But I also believe at the same time, this is something that can be controlled by coaches, players, and and people responsible on the countryside, where there's no there's no reason for Conte to play 120 minutes with France on I think it was on a Sunday, play on
Yeah.
Thursday with Barca, and play again
And
on
play on
Sunday with Barca.
Sunday, and most likely will
That
play again on Wednesday as well.
Exactly.
It's
You can we can
uh,
talk about we can talk about the football calendar, but there's still a decision that can be made there to help matters, and that falls on the coach of
yeah,
Barcelona, for example,
absolutely,
and even
a hundred
and the
percent.
French coach. So
No,
I feel it's a very nuanced discussion. There's no right and wrong approach to this. I just feel there's
no,
sometimes where
I think there's quite a decent number of wrongs with Kunde and Yamal's minute management in the last couple of weeks. And why do
no
I feel
across
so?
no across again. There's but the wrong is across the board, not
Oh
just
yeah, no,
national team,
across the
not just.
yeah, no, across the board. Like
This
I'm just
every
singling out.
every
Sorry.
every party involved in this decision making, guys from from the country, the club as well, Yamal individually, they all hold responsibility in this discussion. Who
Absolutely.
holds greater responsibility is up for debate, but I feel like I said, Kunde, with the amount of games he's played barely in the last week, and the minutes he's played, it's quite dangerous, and I don't think it's something that we should be seeing as much as we are seeing.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you like 1,001%. Because if you think about it, they had five subs. Balde didn't start the game. Balde, by the way, he didn't make the Spanish call up for this international team. He was pretty much rested, right?
Yeah.
And doing light work. And then on Thursday he did play the full game, which I think he deserves. No, maybe not even the full game. I think it was taken off on Thursday. I can't remember vividly. But then today he didn't start. Gerard Martin got the start, and at some point there was some substitution, of which is something that we could touch about maybe not too much in this edition and another edition. I was hoping that these are the kind of games where Ansu Fati will get a couple of minutes here and there, but that doesn't seem to
Oh
happen.
well, no,
Eh,
it's that's not that's done. I think it's his relationship with the club has been soured uh by a lot of factors, and not it's not just a footballing decision, but also I feel there's a there's been a there's something that's been communicated from the club to his agents and his people about his future at the club, and my sense is they tried to send him out on loan in
mhm.
January window. If I'm wrong, correct me. They tried to send him out on loan in January window, but he was either him or his people were adamant that he could still play a part in Barcelona's short-term future, and he basically refused to go out on loan and he stayed behind. And this is the consequence of that decision, where they say, okay, because again, we see it's not just with Fati, we see it with a lot of players. Ben Chilwell or Chelsea is another one where he barely played in the first part of the season because the coach didn't fancy him or whatever reason. But this is what happens these days, though.
Yeah, but again, while I agree with that, but also I'm looking at the club schedule, and this is something that when I think of Barcelona last season or 2 seasons when Ousmane Dembele had that contract friction with Barca and Xavi was the head coach, regardless of what was going on, we're just in order to balance the minutes and balance the game, right? Xavi had to wrap his hand around Ousmane Dembele, nurture the guy, give him the confidence he required, and played him into form, right? And played him pretty much
Yeah,
into the player that he eventually evolved to be. I feel like Hans, if Hansi Flick can just block that noise around contract and all of those kind of things, and even if it's to use a player like Ansu Fati for rotation, and he'll be able to put an impact. I do agree that right now it looks like a lot of the critical players in Barcelona seem to be healthy and playing a lot of minutes. But like a game Rafinha is not playing in 2 weeks, in 2 match days that Rafinha did not play, and on that left wing, Ansu Fati didn't get as little as 5-10 minutes. It's more like
no,
today's
but
was
yeah,
today the message was quite firm because at some point we had two left backs
but it
on the
was yeah
pitch. We
because
had we had Gerard
he
Martin
was
and we had Balde on the
because
flank. Like,
he was on the bench today, and I think I saw him warming up in
yeah,
the
I saw
second
him
half,
warming up as
prepared to
well. I
come
thought
up.
it was gonna come in as
Yeah,
well.
but,
Uh,
but but also feel in terms I understand your overall point, but I feel in terms of this specific player and his relationship with the club, the guy that has not been useful to Barcelona for the best part of almost 3 years now.
No,
I know
no.
because
While
he
I
was on
while I
he was
agree with that, while I agree with that, right? Again, I know that we are kind of staying too long in this conversation, but while I agree with Ansu Fati not being as useful as it was, there is a reason why Ansu Fati has the Barcelona number 10 shirt. Ansu Fati, in my own opinion, was a guy that gave Barca fans, gave Barca management a lot of hope when we were actually in a very gloomy state. Like
yeah,
so.
that's true,
And
but
while football moves on quite quickly, while I know that he has 2 more years
again
left in his contract, and he is
again too.
gonna rake in another 26 million if he stays those 2 years. While I also know that there are ongoing conversations around trying to spread that contract over a longer period of time, maintaining the same amount of money, and thereby maybe activating interest from other clubs, not knowing that the wage is not like, I mean, 13 million per year for Ansu Fati of today
No,
is significantly a lot of money for Barcelona wage bill right now.
yeah,
But you've got to play this guy into interest. You've got
no,
to play him
no.
into what
I
people
I
would try to
disagree.
come to the negotiation for. Because
No,
if he's not having those minutes, even if you end up selling him, you'll be selling him very low. You'll be selling him next to nothing. You pretty
yeah,
much be
but
offloading him off the wage bill without looking at whatever profit you can get. And there's a player in there. There is a
yeah,
player
but
in
yeah,
there.
yeah, I agree. Like quickly, I just okay. You said a lot of things that are true. He had a very, he was the great Barcelona hope after Messi left. He took over the number 10 shirt, but that was almost 3, 4 years ago. And in space of that time, we've seen the emergence of Yamal. Lewandowski has arrived at the club. Rafinha has arrived at the club, improved himself, and right now, I don't think in terms of the pecking order, he doesn't fall. He's probably fifth or sixth option in Barcelona's attack right now. And this is the player
It's
that is
literally not an
developing.
option right now.
And yeah, yeah, which is for body the player that because I always say at the end of the day, this is just my general my overall I see it. End of the day, the one thing that should come first for players is not where you play or how it's how you play and if you play. You need to play games. Especially if you've had the amount of injuries he's had in recent years. And him choosing to spend another 4 months on Barcelona's bench rather than go out on loan. Because all this is all down to speculation. I don't know the ins and outs of the situation.
hmm
But
hmm
he was on loan last season at Brighton in the Premier League. He scored he was somewhat okay at Brighton whenever he played
Yeah,
for them.
his minutes to goal ratio wasn't awful, but
Wasn't
it's
awful.
not,
Well,
yeah,
but still at Brighton he barely could
he
nail
barely
a
nailed down the
starting.
starting position. Yeah, that's
So at
quite
some
disappointing.
yeah, and at some point it becomes what it is. You can't sort of build a player back into form because if okay, even if he's been involved, he's getting 10 minutes off the bench, 20 minutes off the bench. That does not necessarily help him become a better player than he is right now. You understand what I'm saying? And when
Yeah,
you no, it doesn't. And when you have guys like you have other mouths to feed, and also see it just from an economical point of view, he cannot stay on Barcelona anymore because he's on a sizable amount of money, and he's not the reward is not has not been shown on the pitch for not for a number of years now. We're talking about years where he's not been involved in Barcelona's footballing vision. So this is something, even if he gets those minutes now, he starts coming off the bench. I think long term, this is a guy that it seems like he's almost out of the club than in, if you get what I'm saying.
absolutely.
And this is a player that I liked when he was coming up, but at the same time I was very cautious of how I saw his football development because again, there's a lot that goes into becoming a very not just a good player, but to become a very good player for a club like Barcelona, it takes a lot than just having a good 6 months or even a good year. You need to you come back year in, year out, repeated performance, because at clubs like Barcelona, you're only as good as your last game. And if your last game, your last good game is becomes a distant memory, this is what happens when, because really and truly, I feel even before he left, the striker that went to Chelsea,
McG,
Mark, I feel if he had stayed at Barca, listen, he'd probably be higher in the pecking order than Nafati. And it's just, end of the day, I just think it is what it is. I feel for him, his priority should be getting back to fitness, and he should find the right project for him going forward. He doesn't have to make it at Barcelona. He can go
well,
somewhere else and make it. He can go somewhere else and have it. It's because again, he's still very young. I think he's 22.
22 or something. Yeah, no, I
So,
think
so, so
I
exactly.
agree with you. I agree with you. While
So
while we've kind of unpacked a little bit of Ansu Fati and all of that, that's the
it
player
is,
that
yeah, because
actually I think
it
needs to
deserves
be
it. do-
played.
it deserves. I think it's a player that deserves a conversation like this because when he broke into the team, he showed a lot of promise.
Mhm.
Because at this point, this was Barcelona without Messi. They were lost in the wilderness on the pitch.
Yeah,
They
we
had no
literally had
footballing.
Sergio
Yeah,
Dest playing in the wings. We
they
had Luke
they,
De Jong. We had
they
Adama
had no
Traore.
football.
We had literally some kind of players.
They had no footballing, no reference point on the pitch when it comes to what Barcelona are as a football club. But I think unfortunately this is ball. Even for national team, it's not. Because if you look at the other guys that have emerged, other Spanish attacking players that have emerged in the last 2 to 3 years, there's several of them have come through. That way, even that he's like, and this is just the unfortunate part of football where if you lose, if you have a bad year, bad due to injury or bad form or whatever contractual situation you have in the club, your football just keeps going forward and you get lost. But again, I hope for him get his fitness right. There are a lot of clubs out there that can do to a player like him because I still believe he's a very talented footballer and he can again he should. because what I always want to see with footballers like this, especially young players that have had that, that currently have the talent, but they injuries or different issues arise and they cannot get that same rhythm they had in the past. What I always want for them is to again enjoy the football because at the same time that's players have to enjoy football because it's not just a job they do. A lot of players get into football because they love the game, and when you stop enjoying your football, it's kind of hard to play well. If you get what I'm saying. So
Absolutely,
for him,
absolutely.
I just want it because again, it doesn't really matter where the level is, even if it means going to the French League, League One, finding a club there like a Strasbourg, for example, or even if it's a club like Lille, just go there a year or two, because again, he's still very young. You can play well enough to get back to the top because but I feel overall this is what happens at big clubs because sometimes they just when you show that promise, you get a big contract, then you're not living up to the contract. Okay, then they find ways to push out the door because it's earning a lot of money at Barcelona right now. I think it's earning more than the amount does.
Yeah, obviously. I think Yamal's contract conversation will change very soon. I remember he's still a teenager, he's still yet to have some dotted line cross in terms of actual mature contract coming to. But
Okay.
speaking of one player who's not really enjoying his football right now, to another player who is absolutely enjoying his football in Kylian Mbappe. Is this slowly becoming Kylian Mbappe's Real Madrid? Is this getting to a point where he's now the main man, or do we still have that conversation as to who shares the captain of the ship between him, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, and the rest of them?
Um. Okay. Because I think I'll answer this question this way. I think in terms of I feel overall this is the captain of the ship is one guy is Jude. And you see that with how on the pitch how he's a reference point for all of his teammates on the pitch, not just really Mbappe as well. But I feel now Mbappe is leaning into his star power. He's been leaning into star power in the last few months, and not just that his performances have been getting better on and off the ball. His numbers are improving. He's becoming important to the team. He's scoring big goals for the team. He scored a hat trick against Man City in the Champions League, and also at the same time or just I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason behind it, but at the same time, Vinicius is struggling a little bit. He's struggling with his confidence. He's struggling with his application. He's struggling with his work ethic. A lot of things are not going right for Vinicius right now. And with Zimbabwe putting up another performance like he did yesterday, the penalty and again, quick question: was that a free kick or not?
Like, was the goal a free kick goal, or was it a
Yeah,
correct free kick decision?
no, no, the goal like he scored from that, but you said
Well,
that's a free kick.
that's an indirect free kick, right? That's how I look at it.
Okay.
It's an indirect free kick. So I think
Yeah, yeah, okay.
there's a spin on the ball and
Because
then a shoot.
because there's this page on Twitter. I'm sorry, Elon. I'm not calling X. There's this page on Twitter that has that's basically is like that goes like I will delete this account when Mbappe scores a free kick or days since Mbappe
Mhm.
has scored a free kick, and it was like no, that's not a free kick. That's not a free kick, and I agree with him.
It's an
It's a
indirect
very
free
good
kick
goal.
if there's
It's a
anything
very
like
good goal,
that.
but I don't think that's a free kick. But
Yeah,
again, but back
that's an
to
indirect free kick.
but but I think back to Mbappe just before you go. I think this is he's starting to look like the superstar he is, and he's looking more because again the earlier parts of the season it felt like the shirts was weighing heavy on him. He was struggling to build into what they were trying to do. He felt like an outsider looking in. There's that video, that little clip when Madrid were at Liverpool where Jude
Mhm.
Bellingham is communicating with his teammates and Mbappe is just on the outside, just looking in, just like a passenger in the team. But now I feel he's becoming that guy. And again, with big games coming in the Champions League and the league, he can make he can have more standout moments and grow as the figure in that team. But I feel the leader of that team for me is no question is Jude Bellingham.
Yeah,
But
while I
between
agree with you, Mbappe, with the goal, with this free kick or no free kick goal, that is officially his 33rd. goal of the season, equaling Cristiano Ronaldo's first season record. And he
W-
is doing,
just with Alex, it's just he's played more games than Ronaldo did then. So just to add that
yeah,
he's
yeah,
played.
but
I think
yeah,
he's played about 45 games. Ronaldo had about 10 something. So just to add that as
no,
a bit
no,
of
absolutely,
context.
absolutely, and
But
obviously, I think it's still
it's still
impressive.
amazing.
It's
It's
still
still,
impressive. While if we want to keep on looking at variables, I think he has scored even way more penalties than Cristiano scored in his first season as well. Yes.
yeah.
But regardless, he's having a 33 goal season in your first season. It's beyond a superstar. It's beyond the superstar outputs, right? And to think about it,
Yeah,
just a few months ago, people sat on different conversations and actually criticized this player and doubted his
yeah.
credibility and even
No,
went as far
no.
back.
Okay,
Yeah, I
no.
mean, when I say
Did
doubt
they?
his credibility, there were people who were saying whatever it was that he was experiencing at whatever it was that he was experiencing at the time in Real Madrid was not the first time. It's um it's it's
Okay,
a disease that has had various symptoms. Like the people, some people went back as to his last couple of games in PSG. Some other people went ahead and they were drawing relationships to his performance with the French national team, which has not improved a lot even from that
yeah.
time until now, right? But you look at him in the Real Madrid shirt, especially in the month of March, he is he has been putting his foot down and saying, "Guys, I am here. I am here, and I'm trying to take the game over the line for the team," right? And he scored.
He's
I think
taking.
I saw a stat in the month of I think in the month of March. I think he has won them more 3 points than Vinicius has won them all season.
No, because because I feel even at this moment in time, Ferran Torres has more goals than Vinicius
Hmm.
has in the league. As a guy that's
Hmm.
played over 1,000 minutes less
Hmm.
than Vinicius. But just in terms of it, I just feel for Madrid going forward, because I still feel that front line with Vinicius, Mbappe, and Rodrigo and Jude Bellingham, it's a bit unbalanced most times. Sometimes it works, a lot of times it works,
Hmm.
but again, sometimes it doesn't quite work because
Hmm.
there's a lot more than that needs to go into it just besides putting the best names together. And
Hmm.
I feel there might come a time in the near future, probably this summer as well, where an offer might come from Saudi that could turn heads in Madrid for Vinicius. Not just for the club, but also the player as well, who could, because this is quite, I think right Saudi are probably, they are looking out for the next phase of the league after, because
Next cover
they
boy,
got,
next poster
they,
boy.
they got, I think in the same year they got Ronaldo, they got Neymar, but it didn't quite work out for him there. He's come back to Brazil. But Ronaldo is, his days are numbered, so to speak, in terms of his football career,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
the league needs another superstar. And in terms of that superstar that you can really that the ones that are gettable right now, because I don't think Erling Haaland is going to go to Saudi. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. They could
Hmm.
throw him the bag and he changes his mind and he goes there. But in terms of the because you look at it has to be right age, the right celebrity profile, and I think
Hmm.
Vinicius falls into that category. And I won't be surprised
Well, it depends on it
if you
depends
say
on how
like
his season. It depends on how his season end. This whole
not
celebrity
really
status, it can change quite quickly
no
because
yeah,
going as it is right now, more people will be surprised than not to see Vini on the podium in a conversation for any form of best five players right now.
yeah, okay, yeah, but that's the Ballon d'Or conversation, and that's a conversation that
No, I'm not.
does not
I'm not even. I'm
translate.
not. I'm not even putting it down to the Ballon d'Or conversation. I'm putting it down to the star power attraction that Saudi League might be looking out for if they
No,
are
but it's,
bringing in a certain type of player in there. No doubts. Vinicius is a superstar. He'll probably be a superstar
the,
until he does something super awkward, right? But he's. I mean, he promised to do 10 times more. I'm not sure if we're seeing that
yeah,
now, uh,
yeah,
and
that's talk, that's
all of
talk.
those kind of things.
No, but again, you have to factor in the guys. Of course, I'm not saying he's the biggest superstar, but he is a football superstar right now. And at the same time, if you're Saudi, you're looking at the ones you can get. So you're looking at a Mo Salah, for example. But also Mo Salah is a bit older than Vinicius is because you have to get because if you're
Hmm.
investing into this. franchise player for the league. He has to be a player that
Mm-hmm.
fits into the right category,
Yeah, yeah, I
age-wise,
can give you at
celebrity-wise,
least 3 to 5 years.
and also he has to be a player that is also that can be tempted away to come to Saudi because less Saudi they have their challenges over there. And I feel Vinicius right now, even
Mm-hmm.
even Rodrigo as well. Rodrigo, I won't put it past him. If that offer comes for either of them, I believe Madrid would take it, use it to improve the squad, and it solves this question that we're asking: who's the superstar in that team? Who's the leader? Who is the captain of the ship? Because it then becomes obvious. Then Vinicius takes, so then Mbappe and Jude become what they're meant to be at that club. But again, I spoke about it last week. But again, with Vinicius, it's just he came off the bench yesterday, and it's just not. Again, I don't think this is a player that's enjoying his football for whatever reason. I don't know if it's, but I just feel I can't remember the last good Vinicius performance I saw for 90 minutes because he scored in between. I think he scored a very good goal a few weeks ago. But his last good performance, I can't really remember it. And for a player that I
Probably
love
Man
so
City.
much,
Probably Man City game.
yeah,
I
Man
think he had
City,
a great. I think he had a great game in the second leg.
yeah,
No, sorry.
the second leg,
The second leg. Yeah,
but also again, which leads to the conversation we're having right now. In that same game, Vinicius Mbappe scored a hat trick.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
so you
totally
see where,
understand. I
so
totally
you see,
understand.
but again, I just feel with Madrid, the performance, as it's been for large parts of the season, it's just still not convincing. And even when they went 3-2 up, they could not control the ball enough to keep Leganes at arm's length. They could easily have
Mm,
conceded the third goal. I felt
absolutely.
there was a moment where there was a questionable decision
Mm,
that occurred that went Madrid's favor. But that's what happens when if you don't control the games, you leave yourself open at the back. And when you've rotated, like Vasquez at right back is not a reliable option going forward. I think we'll touch about his
mhm.
soon to be replacement. But it's just one of those, again, you can look at it as one of those days where after an international break you come back, you don't need to play well, you get the win, good goals, good performances. But with guys, if you're but relying on guys like Modric, Vasquez, it's it could come back to hurt you down the line. Well,
Yeah,
as
speaking of some players who took their chances after the international break, there are a couple of those that have some question marks around them. Maybe we touch on it a little bit.
yeah, who's
Brahim Diaz and Adagula got a start. Do you
yeah,
think both
a
players
re-
took
a
their
restart.
chances?
Um, I'll 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 say it this way. I feel um it seems Brahim Diaz as he's elevated to Real Madrid squad status. Like he fits what the club needs for a
Mm-hmm,
rotation piece because this is a player that was at Real Madrid and went on loan to. Sorry, it was at Man City.
mm-hmm. AC
Then I think he
Milan,
went
Real
to
Madrid.
AC Milan. Then Real Madrid was a player that's had enough experience in at big clubs to develop. On the other hand, Adegola, who's a player that's still very much finding himself on the pitch in terms of what he would. Of course, again, he's a very talented player, but you need to understand what you're good at on the pitch. You need to find your role in the team, and that I think he struggled to find. Well, not just him, even I think the coach at the same time has found it hard to fit him into the team because I don't quite think I don't particularly think he's effective off the wing. He plays I believe he plays through the middle of a striker, of two strikers. But at the same time, I don't think he can play deeper in midfield in one of the number eight roles. So he's boxed in the number 10 position that's not readily available for Real Madrid. And you then become a moving piece across the front line when the team needs one. And
Needs cover.
it's not good for the player's development because unlike Brian Diaz, who's gone out to experience it, he knows what he can be. We saw it against when he filled in for Jude Bellingham against Atletico Madrid, where he was the standard player on the pitch that day. He already knows what he is. He has accepted the role. And I think Brian Diaz is also he's a quite good footballer at the same time. But I think Goulet
Mm-hmm,
is still finding his way around. Because again, this is We're not talking about this is Real Madrid. This is the top of the mountain when it comes to European football, and it's I think it's always we've seen the other players again. We saw it with Vinicius, for example, when he first got there, was finding his way around there. Like sometimes it takes a bit of time. Sometimes players are afforded that time, that luxury, and they get not lucky, but they get a coach like Zidane that comes in, believes in them. In Vinicius' case, believes in him, and Vinicius gets to become what he's become. But with Adegola and Madrid's overall, because I expect them to be busy in the summer, like with their signings. It could be one of those players that we've seen in the past that doesn't quite make it at Madrid, the Schneider or Schneider's, Di Maria's, for whatever reason, and they get sold off and they go somewhere. I think he can present a good opportunity in the market for a lot of big clubs around Europe because he has the talent, but can he fit into Real Madrid? And that's the big question for him.
No, I think they'll
Like,
definitely.
would
I
you
think they'll definitely keep him for at least one more season, in my opinion.
you think so?
Especially, yeah, I think that he'll be kept for at least one more season. Because if you're looking at it, they're not all that blessed with options in the middle. If we want to look at it, right? There's a great Valverde and Jude who can play in
But
the
there's
middle of
also
the park.
I know, but there's also another guy they have on loan in Serie A, Como, Nico Paz,
Nico
who's
Pass,
have
right? But yeah,
who's having a fantastic season. So it could be a trade off there where
yeah,
okay, you send him
yeah, but
as a loan, bring him in.
technically, even with Nico Pass, right, you have other players who haven't really taken the opportunities. If you speak of opportunities, the likes of Camavinga, Chemeni, these guys have not grabbed opportunities with both hands and be like, okay, you know what, we're ready to be a Real Madrid starter and we're waiting for our opportunities. And then
I agree, I agree.
you have the aging legs of Modric. So it would be too much movement going on if they were to let Adagula out, even though that they're not all playing in the same kind of position,
But
but he's a
also,
player that can bring some cover. Like for example, a game against Leganes, that with another game in the midweek to Real Sociedad, right? This is a perfect scenario where you you might not get the
you can
best
get
out of him, but you've actually used him to manage minutes of the players you're expecting to get the best out
yeah.
of in critical moments. And while he didn't cover himself in glory, in my opinion, in the game against Leganes, um, he's had quite a good some great performances this season, but maybe not great, some good performances this season. Yes, like you said,
But
more performances where you look at it is like, okay, he could do more, but he has not done bad. Do you understand?
but
So
I know, but also at the same time, I would say in the last year or so, his best performances have come more when he was playing for Turkey than Real Madrid.
yeah, because again,
And
like there's the
because
psychology to it. There's the psychology to it
that's
when you know that
exactly that's true.
regardless of what you do, you're not gonna come in and become a starter on this team. There's that
Yeah,
part of it.
exactly.
So
And
it
yeah,
takes another level of football maturity to play that role and play
yeah,
it very well. And that's what you give credit to the likes of Diaz, give credit to the like of I keep forgetting Joselu. You know, you give credit to those kind
exactly.
of players. You know,
Just and
they know that regardless
yeah,
of a banging a hat trick, a score, if everybody's fit, I'm not getting a start.
yeah, like
So
because we're like this, we all know what Real Madrid are. But like
mhm.
also in the past, we've seen them have guys like Vasquez, Lucas Vasquez is another one of them who,
Yes.
when he was younger, he was cover for the right wing for Gary Bale and Di
Hmm.
Maria but he understood that role and what came with the responsibility that came with that role. But at the same time, but it'll be interesting to see how they line up in midweek against in Sociedad in the cup.
Yeah,
If he does get another start, if he gets another start there
yeah,
and
absolutely.
how performs.
Yeah, speaking of their midweek game, let's probably unpack the Copa del Rey and some of the actions that we anticipate in there. For our viewers again, Copa del Rey semi-final second leg is scheduled to take place on Tuesday and Wednesday, with Real Madrid playing at home to Real Sociedad on Tuesday and Barcelona traveling to Atletico Madrid in the Madrid city, of course, on Wednesday to both context for place to play the final. A lot of people are hoping for the mouth-watering El Clasico Copa del Rey final, but there's quite some corners to navigate for these two big clubs to be able to make it there. Real Madrid hold a 1-0 lead against Real Sociedad at the Anoeta Stadium, and now they've taken it back home into the Santiago Bernabéu and hoping to, you know, go over the line and secure a place in the final. Speaking of that lineup, Endrick has been Hendrick was critical. In fact, he scored the goal against Sociedad to secure the victory and of course go home to the Santiago Bernabeu with that advantage. Do you think this is a game where Ancelotti is going to be like, you know what, for your great job, you get a start? Or do we have the other Brazilians come back with Vinicius being rested over the weekend, Rodrigo being rested over the weekend, and even under Gola? Is this an opportunity to say, you know, let's start giving you a run of games to build your momentum? Or how do you see
Yeah.
that playing out?
Uh, in terms of lineup, because again they have a lot of options. But at the same time, you want to keep your big guys in good form. I expect at least minimum two of the three Brazilians to start. Possibly if all three might even get a goal because you might give Jude a bit of a rest at the same time and probably keep on the bench if you need him if it gets tricky for Madrid. But again, they have the options. They have a lot of players that need minutes. I think Vinicius needs a good game and coming up against a not so good Real Sociedad team at home can provide us a good prospect for that. But in terms of, but I see this shouldn't be. I think this is a game I just they should handle this quite comfortably. Give minutes to guys that fringe players. Also build David Alaba's fitness going forward because he could play a big part in their season, not just in league, but also in the Champions League as well.
Mhm.
And other players again. I would like to see Adegule start again because there's a different you play differently when you have that confidence when you start games and see how he performs because Real Madrid, they have it's a very tough place for young players to really perform. But we'll see. But with the young Bobby Charlton, um, I'd say
Just so that we are all on the same page, are we speaking about Hendrik?
yeah, Bobby Charlton's favorite song, yeah, Henrik.
By the way,
It's
did you see his sorry of the topic a little bit, but did you see his reaction to not, getting regular minutes in Brazil and him talking about the potential of losing his place in the Brazil national team? And for a second I'm like, you don't even have a place there. We're hoping that you get to the point where you have a place in the national team. But it's troubling when Real Madrid,
but
when you have a player that is on Real Madrid roster, regardless of whatever he does in Real Madrid, and he's sat on the bench or is barely making the list, and you have someone playing for Wolverhampton leading the attack. What do you think, and
yeah,
how do you think this will affect Hendrik's confidence and even how he turns up for Real Madrid?
well, 'cause I think it's hard to justify your place in on the international team when you don't start for your club, and especially for a club as big as Brazil, or sorry, as a country as big as Brazil. But there's a bigger mess than the striking. There's a bigger mess in Brazilian football. They sacked they parted with their coach
Mm,
Dorival Jr. in the
yeah,
last few days, and probably with a new coach that's familiar with Hendrik and doesn't really care about his minutes in for Real Madrid, but he trusts his talents to come across. We've seen it in the past. Some players don't play for their club, but they turn up for their countries. Where because Eric is a very, I'm not quite sure about him because again he's still very young. This is a player that's I think they're about 18.
yeah. He's
Even
young,
even
he's
that,
raw, he's energetic, but he's a good shooter of the ball, though.
yeah, and also like he plays a lot of he really backs himself. So
Yeah.
it's a very yeah 18. So it's a very tricky situation, but at the same time, and this again falls to the thinking about Vinicius' future, where you can entertain an offer for one of those guys. Mbappe then goes to the left or makes the left wing position his. Then there's a space for the center forward, and that gives an end for Endrick. But again, still, it's I'm not quite sure what to make of his because I said because we've seen another Brazilian who went to Barcelona, a striker as well, went to Barcelona, could not for whatever reason could not nail a starting spot or even get minutes off the bench as well. Eventually, then goes on to Betis, then come back to Brazil. Because the same happened with Hendrik, but I said, but Hendrik is also he came for I think about 50 million pounds
Yeah, yeah,
thereabout.
yeah.
So
Those
they've
signings are
so
not
they've
cheap.
so they've
Those
clearly
signings are not
they've
cheap.
so they've clearly invested in him. But there's the tried and trusted method that Vinicius and Rodrigo, those are players that went to Madrid at young ages. They took their time to get into the first team, develop, and we see
Yeah,
how good they are now. So
at some point, I think Vinicius was playing in the Castilla, even Rodrigo
yeah,
played
yeah,
in the
yeah. The
Castilla.
first,
So,
yeah, I
and
think the
these
first,
guys, yeah, sorry to cut you in, and these guys, in my opinion, seem to possess more raw footballing talent than I see with Endrick. Like, I think Endrick
yeah.
is more of an energy monster. He kind of reads, he's looking around for, whatever drops and he takes advantage of it. But like, looking at Vinicius at 18 or 17 and Rodrigo at that age as well, like how they progress the ball forward, what they do with their feet, how they run into space. You can see more of like they'll pass the eyeball test as compared to Endrick. But why is Endrick not even getting minutes in Castilla? Why are they not asking him to play that role for
Yeah,
Real Madrid
yeah,
B team?
I
And
know.
maybe build some momentum, build some confidence, understand the technicality of the demands for playing for Real Madrid, and just kind of go a little bit slower into that first team football, because right now he's not playing a lot of football, however you look at it. And I don't know if Ancelotti would trust him in a high stake game like the one against Real Sociedad this
No,
midweek.
no, I know. Though it's a high stake game, but this is a game that's made for guys like Hendrik, guys that don't get minutes in the league. Because again, he scored the winning goal in the
It's a
first
semi-final
time
second
around.
leg. There's very little margin for error. The semi-final
Yeah,
second
I
leg
know.
is
Yeah,
not that they blew Real Sociedad away. It's just a
yeah,
one
no,
goal
yeah, I
lead.
know.
That game starts and maybe Madrid concedes in 10, 15
Yeah, yeah, I
minutes.
know.
And it's a
But
totally different dynamics, especially looking at the threat in their defense, right? So it's not a walk on the park. It's
of course,
not.
it's not working back. But this is a game that if I'll be worried if Hendrik doesn't start because if he can't get because at the same time that's all true. It's a semi-final, it's a tough game, but he scored the winning goal in the first leg. I expect him to start again this midweek. Then if he doesn't perform, then that raises another set of questions again because we all Madrid are not they're not like Barcelona. That's Barcelona they take pride in developing young players especially from Castilla, but they really spend heavy on their young players, but they
From La
take pride in
Masia.
they said yeah, exactly, La Masia. They take pride in developing players. Where Madrid is quite the opposite, where it's more ready-made superstars. But they've in recent years they've been shifting towards a middle ground in that approach. But again, I feel long going forward, if the situation doesn't change in terms of Madrid's overall, because I don't think they can sell him, but he needs to play games to develop. So, and if he cannot get games in the cup to play matches, then that's an issue that because Ancelotti has been very because the conversation has been out because it's not just Endrick, there's Kule, the other players as well. Even when they had a lot of injury crisis, it was posed the question, why are you not giving more minutes to guys from the Casilla team? Can't you find an in-house solution for your defensive problems? And with time they found
Asensio?
yeah, Asenio, who's been so far been a very solid cover for some of the injured players. But Wendrick is still a player personally, because I've not seen much of him at this level. Because again, this is Brazilian league, Spanish football, European football. This are different levels, so it's I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play out. But you know what? We'll see. I'm sure to provide a lot of talking points going forward, but because I think it's probably most one of the most highly anticipated young players in a long time because he came to a lot of hype at the age of 16. Because I believe he agreed to sign for Mali at the age of 16. So it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah. No, I agree. So just moving on from Real Sociedad, Real Madrid versus Real Sociedad, what do you think the scoreline would be, and how do you expect that game to play out?
Scoreline, it's a cup game, a lot of rotations. Or at least I expect a lot of rotations on either side, on both sides at least. I think it could be whatever. But overall, I expect Mali to win. I expect them to win comfortably. by at
Comfortably?
least a few goals. And also I'll say this whenever I've predicted Madrid to win comfortably, they've done quite the opposite. So let's so
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 let's see
let's
how
so
uncomfortable your
uh,
comfortable prediction would be. Um, so
so
go.
the yeah.
Yeah, no, going to the elephant in the room on with respect to the Copa del Rey semi-final legs. Um, Atletico Barcelona, how do you expect that game to play out? Do you feel like this psychological battle between both clubs? Because remember, as much as people feel like Barcelona blew Atletico Madrid away, that was the third time they met this season. There was a draw, and the both teams have had one victory each, right? And the draw was a high-scoring draw at 4-4 in the first leg of the game. Do you think this is an opportunity for Atletico Madrid to go get their pound of flesh, and do you think they will?
Okay, I think um so far they played three times this season, and
Yeah,
in all those games they've been very good football games to watch,
yeah,
very enjoyable games. But it's quite funny that if you break those games individually, in the last two recent meetings, Atletico Madrid went ahead by 2 goals in those two games,
yeah.
and they ended up losing the last one by 4 goals to 2, and they they drew 4 against Barcelona in the cup. But the only win they've had up against Barcelona this season was the game where they considered first, and they hung on in there. They equalized, and they scored a late winner. But it's because Barcelona will be playing. Are they playing on? I think they're playing on when are they playing? Wednesday?
On Wednesday they're playing on
Yeah,
Wednesday and they're
on Wednesday.
playing.
So
Yeah.
that'll be Barcelona's third game in about a week
Third game in
thereabouts.
6 days.
Yeah, so again that presents another different challenges for Barca in terms of the team they can put out there and how what their overall conditioning could be, because again Atletico Madrid had some players on the bench that I expect to start in that game. But again, you know what? I think it's a very tough one to predict. But I think Atletico Madrid, I think they will find a way to get this because they have to get a win in this one, because this is where that season can be defined. And with Barcelona, I'm not though they have the quality in reserve. Guys like Ferran Torres will probably get a start. I don't know. I doubt if I'll be worried if Yamal starts, because that'd be insane. But I, I see Atletico Madrid just being able to get the goals, keep the momentum high, keep the intensity high, and see out probably a tired Barcelona team. How do you see it going?
To be honest, I feel like Hansi Flick is a cup expert. Nothing against
Yeah, that's true.
nothing against Simeone. And I feel like there's some cracks coming up in this Barcelona team in terms of how they start. For example, Pedri, I think he played majority of the 90 minutes again today. He did play majority of the 90 minutes on Thursday. Pedri is very integral to what Barcelona was doing. Barcelona are two pivot players down in terms of the both Max Casado and Max Bernal. Those guys are going to be unavailable, of course, for that game. So, and I feel like with an Atletico Madrid team, you need to win the midfield battle to give yourself a chance. And I see Pedri starting again. And if Pedri is starting again, Yamal starting again, I think it's just going to be a bit too challenging to call that game out. But I think the scoreline will be a lot more narrow than it was. And I still, maybe this is the Barca fan in me speaking, but I think it's probably going to be something like a 3-2 or like a 2-1. It's not, and especially now, Atletico Madrid sees this as we go all in. We win this game, we have an opportunity to salvage our season. And Barcelona is like, we lose this game now, it's going to put a big stent to our momentum, right? I think this is, of all the 4 games that they've played this season, I think this one would hold the most value for both clubs
But
from a different point of view.
no,
And this is why I feel so. Barcelona is in a good state of run right now. They're getting into the business side of the season. They're gunning for all trophies, and losing any opportunity to win a trophy right now can kick off a roller coaster similar to what Atletico Madrid went with getting knocked out of the Champions League. And then this is also another away game to the in the Wanda Metropolitano, which is not an easy stadium to go to at any time of the season. But winning this game is just going to get Barcelona's confidence on a high. And again, majority of the squad was rotated in the last two games, right? But the critical pieces, the Pedri, the Yamal, the Koundé, those guys played almost all minutes. And I see them playing all minutes again for for the game against
Okay.
Atletico. But my prediction will be Barca to win by just maybe a goal or two margin. It's not going to be anything too crazy.
Was that well? Just normally, I'm not great at predicting the exact scoreline, so I tend to go with more a comfortable win, more goals, or they might struggle a bit. But I expect it to be a very good game. Like this, both sides when they've met this season so far, they've had some amazing football games. And again, Barcelona have a lot of. I feel they have a lot. They have more match winners on their side that can decide the fixture. Yamal, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Rafinha, Pedri, those guys. Um, but I have a feeling I see Madrid just finding a way to just get because they have to, and just that sense, that feeling of the all or nothing. This is our season. We have to. They can just get them over the line. But again, I'll be very disappointed if they can't,
I
if they
think
don't
it's
make it to
that
the
pressure
final.
of I think it's that pressure of all or nothing that would actually crack them down because when
Okay.
Atletico Madrid has their back against the wall, as we've seen a couple of times this season, right? Um, like even the game against Real Madrid, at some point in the second leg, they had that game for a kill and didn't take it. It was an all or nothing moment for them at the time, right? And back again this in the second leg of the league fixture, they win that game, they go above Barcelona. Literally, they
Yeah.
win that
Yeah.
they go above Barcelona because they will
Exactly.
have the
Look.
head-to-head advantage and everything. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that
Exactly.
was when they crumbled. And now again, there's another all or nothing moment, and I feel like there'll be another crack, and that will be
Yeah.
the dagger in Atletico
And
Madrid's season.
just well, not a hot take, but just a little boiling point. I feel in terms of how this game goes, then I think we can have a conversation about Simeone's future at the club going forward. I don't know what has been said out there, what is happening, but again, but it used to be their nature to see out games when they have sometimes it's just even a goal advantage where they'll see it out against some of the best attacking teams in Europe then. But twice now they've surrendered leads, two goal leads to Barcelona. And if they end up having the same situation again this week, that is quite worrying because once you're not good at what made you one of the most feared teams around Europe, then
Yeah, but I
you're
think
not as I know you're not as strong defensively, but you're not fantastic going forward. You just end up in between, and this is where this could spell trouble for them.
Yeah, while I agree with you 100%, but there's also been a lot of pressure coming from the media, coming from the press, coming from even within Atletico Madrid in
Yeah,
itself to urge them to do a little more attacking wise. They've gone out to sign a Solot, gone out to sign a Julian Alvarez. There's conversation about a superstar replacement for Griezmann next season. And right now the pressure is as much as we enjoy the solidity that comes at the back, we want you to go in and become a threat going
but
forward. And and
no, I know, but that's the problem. There's no so they don't have they don't possess that same solidity they had a few years ago. They're
I
no
kind
longer
of
that same.
yeah, I kind of disagree, even though I see the point. I know that there are
Well,
games like there are games where they turn things around. I think it was against PSG in the Champions League, if my memory serves,
no,
right?
no, no, no. Yeah, I know, but I just feel if they did have that same, because again, this is a team that had to go away to Barcelona on the last day of the season to get a draw to win the league, and they succeeded in doing that. But
Yes.
this is also now this team is a team that's had two goal leads in the most recent one. They were up by two goals and they lost 4-2. That never happened to Simeone
I
team.
know, but
Or at
but you're
least
looking. I know, but
so
you're looking at them playing against a team that has scored well over 120 something or 130 something goals across the
well
season, and
most
we're not
yeah
done in the season. We're not even done. So we have to put those things into perspective. If there's a
that's
team that they can
that's
be
put
excused against, losing that kind of goal margin to be a Barcelona. I don't see any other team capable of doing that at the moment. Maybe
no
PSG.
yeah and yeah no but even but that also bleeds into their league performances this season where they've had more draws than Real Madrid and Barcelona combined this season.
Yes, yes.
That's and also at the same time it's both where conceding goals and scoring goals. But I think that conversation let's just we'll save it for and see how it plays
Um,
out because they can go out there
yes.
and perform and
Perfect.
get
Just
the
before
win.
we
So
move
we'll
on to
see.
the perfect, just before we move on to the next part of the conversation, I just want us to, have one last conversation around, any of the La Liga clubs and then pivot into the other league, like the other tournament that I want us to touch on. Um, Trent to Real Madrid allegedly is a confirmed deal. What do you think? Do you think that's gonna add some spice to next season? Do you think that
Uh,
the Real Madrid fans are quite jubilant as you expect them to be? But I mean, Trent, with all respect, is not a player of the same magnitude as an Mbappe, so you don't expect the same kind of buzz
yeah.
and excitement. But you're talking about one of the best, if not the best, right back from an attacking lens um, in football right now.
He-
And
and
He's going to Real Madrid on a free, very similar to what happened with Mbappe. And do you think the Real Madrid fans are as excited as they should be with Trent coming over, especially knowing that he is not the most solid right back in terms of defensive output or defensive expectation? And do you think Liverpool fans have not taken this in good light? What do you think about the whole transfer speculation so far?
I'll start with the easy ones first. So talking about how he fits into the team, I think it's a bit too early to speculate because we don't know what's Madrid's future. Who will be the coach next year? Because there's still reports of Ancelotti moving to Brazil I started up again. But
Hmm.
but just play if Ancelotti remains next season, Trent slots in at right back. But also, you made a point to say he's one of the best right backs in Europe, which is true. But also, I think he's probably one of the best passers of the ball as well. Not just from that position, but in general, very few people can strike the ball as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold can. And with all of Madrid's problems this season in terms of that building up, controlling of games, Trent will help in that department because he's a very, he's a fantastic player that way. But any worries about him being bad defensively, I always feel those conversations a bit is that they've been blown out of proportion sometimes because this is the guy that has played in a lot of big games for Liverpool in the Champions League, played a lot of big games in the league as well, title challenges, and I think three Champions League finals. So he's quite capable to play. He's quite capable of big games as well. And if you're Real Madrid, I don't think he can be as
Three
worse as
champion, three
watching.
Champions League finals. He's won
Yeah,
one.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, three Champions League,
not
1-1.
bad.
But yes, 1-1. And the two you lost against the Almighty great Real Madrid. So that's what happens. But I think when you're Real Madrid, and you watch guys like Vasquez covering a right back, and we see what Vasquez does. All respect to him. He's been a very wonderful servant of the club. But Trent's obviously an upgrade there. And again, like I said with the coaching, you don't consider it's a different coach next season. You can have a different idea of how to use Trent. If it's
Could be
say
a
an
three four
Alonso, for
three.
example, exactly, you could probably put him in midfield. There are different ways to use the player, but I think overall this is just another fantastic player at Real Madrid. And I always like I always see Real Madrid as all their fans per se, as just as like always try to imagine what it feels like to be a Real Madrid fan, where you just you're constantly just giving new shiny toys. I get not just it's like your it's
You have
like
unlimited supply
it's
of
like you
candy from your favorite candy store.
no, see, no, it's not even kind. It's just like, okay, every time you graduate or so every time you pass your class, you go into the next class, you get a Ferrari, you get a Lamborghini, you get an exotic car, and it all adds up in your garage. Where when you get the next one, it's like, okay, here's another one. I'll pack it to the next, and it's just I feel that feeling of being a Real Madrid fan must be one of the best in the world. Where okay, Jude comes one year, Mbappe comes the next year, Trent is coming next year. God knows who's coming the year after that. It could be Florian Wirtz for all we know. And I think it's just endless amount of not just good play, but world class players, just genuinely players that are exciting to watch. So but I believe all of Madrid fans should be excited by that signing because he's a very good player. I also feel he's a player that has that just because of where he comes from, because he's English, I, I feel he's quite a bit underrated as well. Because whenever people mention Trent in no, listen, whenever they mention Trent especially in the English world, the first thing that comes up is, oh, he can't defend. And I always tend to look at the other way. Why get hung up on what a player can't do rather than what he can do? And what he can
But
do, he's
but
one of the best around.
do you consider Trent a guaranteed starter on the English national team?
For me, he should be. For
No,
me,
no, is
without
he actually a guaranteed starter
no,
in the English national team?
no, he's not because they had guys like Southgate there who were doing different tactics, if you want to call it that, playing whoever player. But I think end of the day, I feel he's one of his top five. He's one of the best players in English football. Sorry, he's one of the best English players around right now. Not probably say if you want to go with Kane, probably top five easily. But he doesn't get the same. Again, he doesn't get the same respect, or he's not seen the same way players of his talent will be seen in other countries. Like say for example, like a Carlos, for example, nobody was worried about what Carlos did defensively. In fact, the only manager that worried about what Carlos could do defensively was an English manager at Inter Milan, Roy Hodgson. So I'm sure that's how the English see the game. They see it through the eyes of fear more than excitement.
Of the
Okay,
light,
he
yeah.
can defend. Yeah, he can defend. We can play him. But okay, he can defend. But you know what? He's capable of world class moments. He's capable of fantastic moments on the ball from right back. And I think Barcelona are one of the clubs that have seen it firsthand. His quick thinking, his brilliance, where the quick corner I took against Barcelona those years ago, and that's what he
Like,
brings. Because that's a different kind of play. That's the then level thinking from right back. So it's a very I always a player I've respected a lot. But at the same time, it's funny to laugh at because sometimes when he's defending, when he's having a bad game, he gets cooked.
oh man, do you know what is
No,
coming to my mind? Oh my God, the Trent Yamal mashup. It is gonna be
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. No, I think no, it's Trent's on the right, Jamal's on the.
I know, but like, who
Yeah, I know,
knows
yeah, but
for the fun of it,
no, but
for the
yeah, I know,
no, you know the funny
but
thing,
also,
the funny thing, I even
hmm?
think he might do just all right against a Yamal because a Yamal wants the ball to his feet and tries to do things. But you see, if Rafinha keeps the form that he has now and takes that into next season and still plays as a left winger for Barcelona, Trent might get exposed because, as much as people focus on him being, you know, easily navigated through, right? Players who have been able to exploit the space at the back has actually had Trent on the stick. Like it's not so
Yeah,
much
and
about
yeah,
getting
okay.
1v1 against him. It's more like the space he leaves when he gets carried away going forward, which he would because of the nature of his game, and also because he has the technical ability. However, there's a lot to anticipate the delight from like I imagine a Trent giving a pink pass over to Mbappe it's gonna be scary for a lot of teams. Like because he
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
find the pass and you can't bet on the likes of Mbappe making the run. Even a crossfield pass, Trent to Vinicius, that would be amazing. Even Trent to if Rodrigo continues to play at the right wing for Real Madrid. There's a lot of interesting things to anticipate there. The link up play with Jude Bellingham, the chemistry and all of that. But
Yeah,
leaving that duty as a right back and getting too carried away in a league like La Liga that is, I think La Liga is, in my opinion, the most technical league you want to think about in terms of the technicality on and off the ball. It would be interesting, but I mean, it's mouth-washing. We'll see
Yeah,
what
okay.
anticipate for that. We'll see what
Well,
to
it's
anticipate, but
it's
it will be delight it will be a delight to see how that plays out. But I think either way, it's a good signing for Real Madrid, and it's also a good signing for La Liga as a whole because it's speaking of the boss, speaking of the quality, the sheer quality that this player possesses. And I agree with you, he's one of the best striker of the ball, long and short. So let's just move on from an Englishman
oh
to
just no, 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 just before you move on, just give me because I
Mhm.
think there's a second part of that question you asked me, and I
Yeah.
feel for me, and I think one of the reasons why we decided to start this show was to have a platform where we can talk our mind basically, and I feel with the reports of Trent or the news of Trent agreeing a deal to Real Madrid, that came with a lot of it's not gone down well with a lot of Liverpool fans,
Oh yeah.
especially online, and they've had a lot of choice words to use to characterize his move. But I feel one of the words that's not been used enough, if even, is challenge. And I feel people don't. I feel because a lot of people, okay, he's going for the money. He's going to go and play for Real Madrid. He's a Judas. He's a snake. But people don't see the challenge in a player who's won everything. He's won everything he can win at Liverpool. A player who's mastered it. One of the best players in the league. That he backs himself to go over. Like you said, Spanish football is very tough, but it's a lot tougher when you play for Real Madrid and with the expectation that comes with that club. He's backing himself to embrace that challenge, go over there and become a better football player. And I think because there was Chelsea had this with Eden Hazard, where me personally, I almost wanted him to leave Chelsea to go play for Real Madrid because if you play for Real Madrid, play bigger games, win more titles, you get more respect, you get more. You understand?
Mhm.
And luckily for Chelsea, Eden Hazard stayed a couple of years more
And he
than he
left
probably
too
should have.
late. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we try. I feel he's leaving at the right time. He's leaving on a high. If they succeed to win the Premier League title, he's giving back to the city. He's won a lot. He's respected the club, and overall, a lot of fans should see it as they should see more the joy in it. Where this player who came from the club back from the club academy made his debut at the age of I think at the age of 17, and has gone on to win two Premier League titles or soon to be two Premier League titles. Appeared in three Champions League finals, won one of them, numerous cup finals, numerous cup wins. Is one of the most successful Liverpool players out of that. In fact, probably one of the most successful Liverpool players in recent times, or probably
Yeah. Probably all time.
ahead of.
It's possible.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, if
Otani
you
had
think,
there
if you
some
think,
legends.
yeah, but
No,
if you were to put it, if we were to put it trophy, cabinet for cabinet, because if you check, most of those supposed legends of Liverpool tend to be in the time when they had a Premier League drought. Many of them didn't have Premier League
yeah,
titles to their name.
yeah. I know,
Um,
yeah, no,
and then
I
even
know.
if you want to flip the
That's
page and say, oh, they did very well in the Champions League, not a lot of their legends would say they played three Champions Leagues finals.
yeah. I'm not
So I
quite.
mean,
I'm not. That's.
that's a
I'm not
debate
quite
for
sure of
another
the
day,
number.
but I think it should be in that conversation. Yeah.
Yes, but no, but if you bring it to like recent time, because I'm not sure about the 1970s or 90s, I'm not quite sure. I'm sure Liverpool fans are more aware than I am. But when it comes to recent Liverpool
Oh
players,
yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about Steven Gerrard, Carragher, those kind of guys where
Jamie, your friend.
he's yeah, stop it. Where he's been quite successful and it will come a lot of people will see it as a betrayal of the fact that he's living on the free. But I see it at the same time where a lot of factors are to blame for this decision where I don't understand what Liverpool are trying to do, allowing this situation to arise. Because we all
Absolutely.
know it's no secret when players' contracts run out. And you can also say, okay, he's probably designed it this way where he specifically wanted to sign a 4-year contract 4 years ago that leads up to this. So at the age of 26, he can walk away for free. Okay, that's fine. Then you sell him before he gets there. You
Absolutely.
make a claim, you try and sell him. Small but you don't try to play it down, allow the player to, because at the end of the day, players should have their careers, is their careers are in their hands. They should
Yeah,
control their destinies. I 100% believe that. But the clubs should also protect their interests, their
absolutely.
financial and their financial interests on and off the pitch. And I feel the whole situation has become a mess. But at the same time, I wish people should just enjoy and celebrate the player he was for the club rather than leading into this toxic wording of the situation. Judas, Snake, all that is just very, I think, personally, I think is over the top. And also, I'll add, beyond it's a bit of it is, there's an extra bit of spice for a player like Trent because it's,
Okay, while I understand what you're saying,
you know,
while I totally understand what you're saying, and whether
it's
or not
black.
I agree with it, it's whether or not I agree with you, it's I don't think it will be any different regardless of who he is, in terms of his origin. But it might be a bit more. It might be a more of a thorn in the flesh, of course, given the reality of things. But I do agree with you. We've seen the likes of Jack Grealish try to help his club out by, taking an extension and this, but Jack Grealish wasn't going to Real Madrid. There are certain clubs that will
No,
come and they'll
no,
tell you, we want to take you and we're going to take you on our terms. And if you're not coming, that train moves. We've seen it happen over and
yeah.
over again. I think the only player in recent time that managed to just about get around it is Mbappe. And if Mbappe didn't make that move
Oh,
last season,
it got bad. No, I think towards the end at Paris, it
yes,
got really
he got
toxic
really
between
touched
Mbappe and the
because
club.
yeah, because they had
Because
to put that pressure. Real Madrid put that pressure,
I,
in my opinion, and it's like if it's not happening now, it's never happening again. And that is what a club of Real Madrid stature can command. And in my opinion, I think Liverpool left things too late. If Liverpool, yeah, they left it too late, and I don't think they've
but
learned from it. To be honest, I don't think they've learned from it.
yeah,
We're still having the same conversation with Van Dijk. We're having the same conversation with Mo
Salah
Salah, and we'll probably keep having those
and
kind of
soon
conversation.
some players coming up next season as well. Konate, Curtis Jones, Robert those
Yes.
players.
So so
But also feel at the same time you can. There's a world where Liverpool do everything the right way, extend the contract. The player wants to stay, loves the club. I know that. I'm not doubting Trent's love for the club, but the moment Real Madrid walk into the door,
kind of conversation is heads will spin.
the conversation, the conversation starts. It's a head spin, and there are very few players in world football that have on record turned down Real Madrid. We're talking about probably Totti, Maldini, those kind of guys, and those are club icons. I don't think Trent is a club icon, but he's a club legend for sure. I don't think he's a
Oh,
club icon
oh,
The way Maldini and Totti are for the club. So it's a very, but again, at the end of the day,
it is what it
it's,
is.
it's, it's exactly. I think it's a tough one to accept. But you know what? You win Liverpool. You probably win the title soon in the next few weeks. Enjoy it, and you go again, and the
Yeah,
lesson should be learnt going forward.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Uh,
moving on from that to more news around English football. The FA Cup quarterfinal games happened this weekend as well. We've seen teams like Man City, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, they booked their spot in the FA Cup semi-final. And despite the ups and downs in Man City's season so far, this could easily be one of the ups for them. And I think they're poised to play in Nottingham Forest in the semi-final of the
yeah.
FA Cup, while Villa will need to navigate through the challenges that comes from Crystal Palace. What do you think about all of this?
Well, my initial thought is why are Man City here? Why are they trying to spoil the party for everybody? This was meant like we've seen the pictures, we've seen what winning a cup means to a club that's not used to winning or hasn't won in years, like a Newcastle. So why are Man City here? What Man City could have easily just
You easily just go trophyless just to make sure that some other streams
no,
happen.
yeah, I know, I know, no, I know, but
Because
I'm
I'm
talking
trying to
from a
understand.
story. No, from a story point of view, from
Hmm.
the emotional point of view. I personally would have not because I hate Man City, but from a story point of view, I'd have loved to
Um,
see a Bournemouth Nottingham Forest at Wembley, a Bournemouth Nottingham Forest semi-final at Wembley, and an Aston Villa Crystal Palace semi-final at Wembley. But I just feel with Man City there, they just story-wise and narrative-wise, it spoils the not spoils, but it takes a bit of joy away from people like me. But again, congratulations to them. They got to a semi-final, and congratulations to the other guys. Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace. They were fantastic in their quarterfinal against Fulham. Eberechi was something else. But it's again, I expect this game to be very exciting because these are a lot of teams that they don't usually get to this stage in the season in either cup or league. They're very they, except they have like a championship promotion or something like that to look forward to. So I expect them to have a good day out, enjoy the moment, and again dream like why can't Nottingham Forest beat Man City in the semi-final at Wembley? It's happened.
yeah,
It's happened before. They can cause an upset there, and I hope they do because a Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, or Crystal Palace FA Cup final is going to be beautiful for me and a lot of people out there.
well, so what's your prediction? Who do you think will make it to the final?
Uh, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest.
Well, I'm going the opposite direction. I think it's going to be a Manchester City Aston Villa final, and I book Unai Emery to go ahead and win another trophy there.
That you know what? That would be an interesting final as well. Like because those are two of the best tactical coaches
Masterclass
coaches
tactical
around,
coaches, Spanish
and
heritage, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Good final records for both of them, depending on how you look at it, pound to pound. And I just kind of I have an affection for Unai Emery, especially in cup competitions. He just knows how to do that job. He knows how to
yeah.
get his team across the line. He's done it with Sevilla. He's done it like with countless teams.
We don't,
And
yeah, no, and again, you see, you know what? Now that you talk about Emery, I also want to see for a narrative point of view. I'd love to see Aston Villa win the FA Cup, not just win that, but Emery win the FA Cup because that puts you then have this awkward conversation with Arsenal fans in terms of what that
Ateta
Lord
has
and
done.
Savior Arteta has done and what Emery has done. Because there are some Arsenal fans that can't stand Emery for good or bad reason, but he's a very successful coach. You can't deny that
He's
fact. And if he gets to that point where he has an FA Cup medal to show for it, to show for his fantastic work he has done at Villa, that will be
mhm.
an interesting conversation to have when you juxtapose it
And I
against
think
what Arteta is doing.
and I think Villa in recent times haven't in recent time it's been a while they won the trophy as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um Yeah, so
yeah, they've,
it would probably fall in perfectly into your script of English club with very good history and history
uh,
and all of that trying to win a trophy. It would probably fall well into
yeah.
your chapter two of what
But
Newcastle did.
yeah, yeah. I think we have one more before we go. Just touch on
Yes.
the on the
Speaking of outliners and story writing and how that progresses into the female side of the footballing world, we've got interesting Champions League semi-final games. And again, there are certain clubs that always make it there, and then there are also other clubs that are flying the British flag very well right now. We have Arsenal against Lyon and
two British
Barcelona against Chelsea. Two
two
British
English clubs in
female,
the
yes,
two English clubs in the yeah. It's
two.
yeah, Chelsea coming up against Champions League or I think how many times now? I think it's three time no, two-time Champions League holders.
Back
Is
to
it
back,
two?
two back
Is
to
it back to
back.
back? Yeah, back to back.
They
Yeah,
are
back
going
to back
for a
to back, back to
treble
back.
of Champions League, and of course the
Yeah.
treble winning the quadruple winning Barcelona side from last season.
Yeah,
Um,
and Chelsea going for their first Champions League
do you
first in this competition.
how do you think? What do you think
But
about that mashup? Do you think this Barcelona side has improved from last season? When they were all domineering and they literally crushed through everybody that came their way, and or do you feel like there's just a tiny bit of chance that Chelsea will be looking to replicate what Real Madrid have done? And I think Barcelona has lost two games in. in the Spanish and La Liga F for I think for the first time in the last 3 seasons or something like that. And
Yeah,
do you think Chelsea can capitalize on that and hope to put an upset here? Because I think they might be the favorite to win this competition.
um, I I believe Chelsea have a very good opportunity here, and I think this probably might be their best opportunity in the last, because Chelsea have played Barca in the last. They had the final and they played them in the last 2 years at this same quarter semi-final. And in the last two Chelsea's last two visits to Spain, they're unbeaten against Barcelona. They won in Spain last year and they drew the previous year 1-1-0. So they've been getting closer to Barcelona. And one of Barcelona's few defeats this season has been in the Champions League against another English club, Man City.
Mhm.
So whenever I watch Barcelona, they always, and by product, the women's Spanish football team, they always seem to have the same problem, and that's whenever they come up against physicality, they can't handle a team that approaches them with physicality. And Chelsea have a lot of that with James Ramirez. They have those four players can cause a lot of trouble for Barcelona. But again, I just feel particularly this season for whatever reason. I know they have a new coach. They don't seem to be that.
You
How
don't
am I
think they're
going to say?
blowing
They don't
teams
seem.
away?
Exactly. They don't seem to be blowing team. I know. They won 6-1 in their last Champions League, last knockout Champions League game. But I said that I feel they don't. Like teams are getting closer to them than they have in the recent years. So it's a tough one. It's an interesting one to watch, and at the same time, injuries will play a big factor because I think there are a few Barca players that are
Injured.
already out injured. I think, but
And
in
I
terms of,
think
I think but just I think where Barca are weakest right now are centre back. They don't really have the pace at centre back to deal with what Chelsea might provide. But at the end of the day, they have the firepower. They have the firepower in the forward line and the midfield. It's out of this world. So you have when you come up, if you really come up against a team that has two Ballon d'Or winners in it,
yeah.
and that's what Barca. So it's a,
I feel
but
like
again,
they're
I feel
also rebuilding right now. Barcelona, they're rebuilding.
yeah,
There's been quite
yeah,
some chop and fixes with their first team lineup. I think but this looks like a game that Graham can be able to influence quite well. Um,
yeah. That's I think I don't think she's had the I don't think she's had she's not been at her typical best. I think last season was one of
yes.
her best seasons.
Yeah.
But I think she alongside Aitana and Putea, she's one of the players I fear the most because she has the pace, she has the trickery, she can go left foot,
She
right
can
foot,
left
inside,
foot, right foot.
outside,
She
and
can beat
she's
beat her opponent all the time, every time.
but yeah, and with Chelsea's new head coach, one of the few managers that have won this competition in the past as a player and coach.
Hmm.
I hope I hope she brings in that extra experience in this knockout tie, especially against this Barcelona team. But again, it's going to be an interesting game, but it will be a very tough game home and away. So we'll see. I think it's quite early to give my prediction because I don't know how it's going to shape up in the next few weeks. But that'll be interesting. And also the other final, Arsenal against
Leon,
Lyon. That yeah, I, I think
I think that one
I
is
think
more
Lyon
straightforward.
Lyon. No, yeah,
I think it's more
but again,
straightforward.
I
I
think
expect Leon. I expect Leon to make it to the final. Arsenal put up a good
yeah, but
challenge. The
yeah,
Arsenal team is building
yeah,
in momentum. They play brilliant football, with all due respect. But Lyon is the most successful female team, however you want to look at it. And
yeah,
it's not a
they
fluke.
and they
They're
have
always around
yeah,
this part of this competition. I mean, I it will be an upset. It will be an upset, in my opinion, if Arsenal goes on to win over
I
three
think
legs.
I think the X factor Arsenal have in this tie it's the fact that they play at the Emirates Stadium and they can possibly have a sold out crowd on that night, so that can give them an extra boost. So that could be an X factor for them going into this tie. But I expect Leon with the experience they have on and off the pitch, especially
Yeah,
with strikers like yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But it's good to look forward to that. It's a bit of something different than what we normally talk about. So I always like that, and I'm looking forward to those games.
yes, while I agree there's something different, something there's also some consistency there. Of course, the backup flag is being flown very highly right now, both on the male and the female side. And I'm expecting. My prediction would be that it's going to be another Baka Leon final. Um,
Of course, you say that.
of course, yes, because I mean, I put my mouth where my
Of
money is,
course.
and I put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so I expect.
Do you want to have a side wager on this? Let's.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take you up on it all day. This
Okay,
Barcelona female team,
okay. Off mic.
I'll take you up. Off mic, I'll
Okay,
definitely take you up on this all day.
okay.
If just for the
So
record, I
yeah.
even have way more as high as my confidence is for the men team, the female team. These are absolute football monsters, absolute football monsters. And on top of it, right, you just watch the runs of the striker. I think Pina, her movement on and off the ball. I think that is someone that you like if I were an opposing team, that's someone I'll be worried about. She has everything. Finishing
Yeah.
pace. She's pretty much like a female Suarez. And I think she's
Okay,
just getting unleashed. She's just getting unleashed. So
okay.
I expect her to have a
Well,
great game there as
who's
well. Yeah,
okay?
we'll have the
So
outside conversation. We'll probably
yeah, yeah. We'll take it off mic.
I'll be gracious to feel our esteemed viewers on the outcome of that conversation. But I think we've really
Oh,
unpacked everything that we
yeah.
we we, we hope to cover. And I think it's been a very, very, very interesting conversation. It's always a great time whenever I have you on.
Uh,
I happen to be
Likewise.
on this podcast. It's also great conversation with you, Rank, all the time. But again, for our
Yeah.
amazing viewers, and we encourage you guys to go in there. Let us know what you think about the Trent transfer. Let's see, especially from the Liverpool side of things. Are you equally frustrated? Do you agree with Frank that the board should have done something better in terms of negotiating a deal and keeping Trent for a longer time? Or do you respect a player who's looking to take the challenge and try to fly the British flag across the continent in a different league? And again, still, we'll be touching base to see how the Copa del Rey semi-final unfolds. We want to know what your predictions are. Do you agree that Atletico Madrid will just find a way to redeem their season and get going? Or do you anticipate another Barca hammering down and putting the final dagger in the hearts of Atletico Madrid fans? Do you anticipate that Man City, um, do you expect the fairy tale to continue pretty much in English football this season with Nottingham Forest or Crystal Palace or Villa going on to win the FA Cup against all odds? And just let us know exactly what you think about all of the conversations we've had. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and follow us across all our platforms. You can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on X, and of course, you can still see us kicking it on in TikTok.
Thanks. Okay. Okay.
Until next time, thanks again, everyone, and talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye.